Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Ay, oh, hey, oh. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, I oh yeah, hey oh hey, I calling my Taino ancestors to be here with us today and bring light and only light to this event and to bring love, compassion, and sweetness to our heart, to our spirit, to our tongue, and to our mouth, so that everything that is felt and said today, it is ruled by these high emotions. Thank you, thank you, thank you for always being here with us when we need you, when we want you to guide us through this path of knowledge and wisdom. Aham, aham, aham. Yeah, oh, yeah, oh, hey, oh, hey, hey, oh. Today, I want to thank my partners, El Museo del Barrio and Bloomberg Connects again, and the talented cast and crew who brought this film to life. They are Milena Volonteri, camera and film producer, Mario Carrion, editor, Jonathan Carella, art, Peter Nova, recording and mixing engineer and music producer, Edgar Molina, percussion and headdress artist, Cici Bermudez, accessories, Jorge Esteves, Hiwatajia, Taino Language Reconstruction Project, Rahibara Hikotea Niakuno, translation English Hiwatajia, Francine Madera, post-production manager, campaign, launch director, and Yukahu cover art. She's also the producer of the Taino Talks. And Cristina Carrera, Yukahu cover art and campaign launch marketing. In this film, I was the producer, writer, singer, music production, and talent. You will see me everywhere. I want to give special thanks to Fundación Sendero Educativo and Jardín Botánico Nacional, which was the location of the film, and Jorge González, Andrea Babestrelos, and Carlos H. Corona from Atabey Media. So I would like to express my gratitude to Antonio Curet and the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian in Washington, D.C. for accepting my invitation for participating in the Taino Talks series. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful. And before inviting our guest, I'm going to read his bio for you. So Antonio Curet is a curator of the National Museum of the American Indian. He was born in Atorrey, Puerto Rico in 1960 and attended the University of Puerto Rico, Rio Piedras, where he obtained his BA and MA in chemistry. Curet received his PhD in 1992 from Arizona State University. He was part of the faculty at Gettysburg College, 1993-1996, and the University of Colorado at Denver, 1996-2000. From 2000 to 2013, he was curator at the Field Museum and adjunct professor at the University of Illinois at Chicago, Northwestern University, University of Chicago, and DePaul University. His research focuses on cultural and social change in the ancient Caribbean, but he has participated also in archaeological projects in Arizona, Puerto Rico, and Veracruz, Mexico. He has directed several projects, including excavations at La Gallera, Ceiba, Puerto Rico, and the archaeological project of the Valley of Maunabo. Since 1995, he has been conducting excavations at the Ceremonial Center of Tibes, Ponce, Puerto Rico, and in 2013, he began co-directing a regional project in the Valley of Añasco in western Puerto Rico. Curet has published multiple articles in national and international journals, a book on Caribbean paleodemography, and has edited volumes on Cuban archaeology, the archaeology of Tibes, Puerto Rico, and long-distance interaction in the Caribbean. He is also on the editorial boards of Journal for Caribbean Archaeology, Revista Arqueológica del Área Intermedia, and Latin America Antiquity, Antípoda, Universidad de los Andes, Colombia, and is the editor of the Caribbean Archaeology and Ethnohistory book series of the University of Alabama Press. The title of our conversation today is New Findings and Perspectives in Tibes Ceremonial Center. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to our guest, Antonio Curet. Hello, Antonio.
Hola, Irka, qué bueno verte.
Qué bueno que estás aquí. Muchísimas gracias por aceptar esta invitación de nuevo. Qué lindo verte.
Actually, I'm the one that has to be grateful for this invitation. It's always good to tell people what I've been finding everywhere. Because this belong more to the people than to me, and the way that I can give it back to them is doing these things like that. So thank you for letting me do it.
Oh, thank you, and we have an audience. We have an audience of young people who are searching into their Taino identity and history and culture. So you have a beautiful audience listening to you today who is really curious to know about this history of our ancestors. So it could have not been better to have you here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions so that we can shed some light in your story and also in your archaeological work in general. So when I was reading your bio, I saw that you first studied chemistry. So why the transition from chemistry to archaeology?
Well, I guess everything started like, I was like, I'm not kidding, like 9 years older when I saw a documentary where I saw people digging, actually, where the Leakeys were a couple that discovered the earliest humans at that time. And I thought, I want to do that, and then, and from my, that was when I was young. I went on up and down with this, but when I went to college, I wanted to do that. But at that time, I had a girlfriend. I thought, wow, there's no jobs in archaeology in Puerto Rico at this time. So I thought, if I want to have a family, I have to support them. And I like sciences in general. So I decided to go to chemistry because Puerto Rico had at that time, and still, a lot of pharmaceuticals. So there's plenty of jobs there. So I decided, but I always, every semester I would take a class in anthropology or history, because I always was looking forward or ahead, saying like, I'm eventually I want to try archaeology. And that's what happened when I finished my degrees in chemistry. I went to Arizona State, and you know, the rest is history, I guess. But
Yes, yes, yeah. This is a beautiful story, for the young people that never give up on your dreams, because it's
mhm,
sometimes, life takes you to other path that you were not intended to because of circumstances.
mhm,
But when you have this always in your heart, and so you can always pursue your dreams. So thank you. This is a,
mhm.
a very beautiful story.
And I have to say too that I had a lot of mentors, really good people that they put up with me. They helped me, and I mean, one of them is Miguel Rodriguez. Probably he was my mentor in the island. He was an archaeologist there in Puerto Rico too, and Virginia Rivera and other people. So the only way I can repay this is by like giving it back forward to other people, and they taught me a lot of things, and I cannot take credit for everything, I
Yes, yes.
so that's
Yeah.
important.
They have this confidence in you. They know that this desire was really
Mhm,
true.
mhm,
Yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing it, Antonio.
mhm.
And then I would like to know, what was your interest and purpose in archaeology at the beginning of your career?
Well, interesting enough, many people think that when you want to go to archaeology is to start digging and finding things, and but in the Americas, archaeology is part of anthropology, so we have this social science perspective. And since when I was in college, there weren't that many archaeology classes, I took a lot more of um, uh, anthropology classes, which talk about organization of people and so on. And I wanted to apply that because we know about the living, but when we go to the and it's complex, it's very complexities there. But when we go to archaeology, sometimes we simplify these people that are the ancestors that we tend to simplify them. And all societies are, no matter how small or how big and how many people, is complex. Imagine the relationship between a boyfriend and girlfriend can be complex, right? So we cannot say that there's something that is so uh, that that's what actually led me lead to look for something sociological or anthropological when I started make my career in archaeology. And I wanted to study why why caciques develop in Puerto Rico or in the Caribbean, why chiefdoms develop in Puerto Rico and the Caribbean, because we all started more or less at the same. I'm not saying that everybody was the same, but eventually through time, somebody kind of monopolized part of the power and things or politics in our society, well, the other people know. Those people tend to have more, and the other people know. So I wanted to understand that how it developed and why, and that was the main the main topic that I wanted to study.
Okay, okay. So I will go back to this question after I we develop the following that I have for you, so that we can have the context of your
Mhm.
work. So this was why I understand that this was why you selected Tibes, right, at the primary site for your work, to look for this question, right?
Yes, yes. In the Caribbean, we tend to assume that when you have ceremonial centers, there's somebody there with power to make people work,
Mm-hmm.
a power to actually to develop the floor plan, if you will, the plan of the center, the ceremonial center.
Mm-hmm.
So the and since Tibes was the earliest one
Mm-hmm.
in the Caribbean, I thought this is where I can see this transition. And the thing is that Tibes, yes, Tibes was a ceremonial center, but before that was a village.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one point they switched and created the ceremonial center. The ceremonial center probably had was not all the time the way we see it now. They might have been remodeled, people remodeling the ceremonial center for one reason or another, expanding or something like that. So So that has a history that I don't know very well yet, but it began as a village.
Okay, yeah. So it was the place where you could study the relations, of yeah, the Taino people in that village. If there was
Mhm.
leadership, if and how it would work. So then, this can you then share with us that you were searching this, right? These social
Mhm.
interactions and what did you uncover during these 25 years of work? What did you find in your initial work,
Mhm.
and what did you uncover later,
Yeah,
please?
let me step back 1 minute before I get into that. You hit the spot. I should have said it that previous occupation before ceremonial center is probably egalitarian society. Not that everybody's the same, but it's egalitarian. Now we see a ceremonial center and we relate that to social stratification, and that's good. Um, should I share the slides now?
Yes, please.
Wait, let me see how. Um,
Yes. So
Share.
the people who are not
Oh, wait.
um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the people who are not familiar with the Tibet Ceremonial Center, so we can have this context for you.
Let me make sure I have everything right here. Okay. Yep. And now I have to. Oh, it's not letting me do that. Okay. Um, I'm sorry. I'm not very good at this here.
But take your
But
time, don't worry.
okay, let me share this. Can you see it?
Not yet.
I'm clicking on share. Yeah, that there. I must be doing something wrong here.
Yeah, but
Huh. Let me.
yeah, we are patient. Just take your time.
I'm not.
But we are because we want to see those pictures. Yeah,
Can you
okay,
see it now?
here we go. Yes,
Yes.
yes. Yeah.
Doesn't let me share without these slides here. Can you see the full screen or
We are seeing the general PowerPoint. So
okay?
probably we could change to slides. Yeah, we would
It's not
like.
letting me do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. You did it. You did it. The first one. So yes. Okay.
Yeah,
So
no, I have,
say it
but
like
you,
that.
yeah, okay. Is it big enough for people to see it?
Yes, it is.
So okay, sorry. Tibes is in southern Puerto Rico and it's actually in Ponce. Um, it is right north of the city. You know, it's very close. It's an archaeological park, so you can go and visit it. And please go because I think it's good. It is for those of you who have been in Caguana, which is the one in Utuado. Tibes, the structures and the rocks and everything are smaller, but remember, the Tibes is the first one. So, things have developed later on, and that's why the ones from Caguana or Mutuado, they tend to be bigger. Tibes has about 9 different structures. This is a map of Tibet. These lines here, they're contour lines, meaning that the more you go this way, this is a hill here. Each contour line is saying that it's going up. Like it's almost like they're not steps, but it's almost like steps, right, going up. And then it has the Portuguese River down here on the left, on the western side. And then you can see the structures here. There's a batey or a ball court, possible ball court. There's a plaza here, which is square. Then there's this structure here that is unique in the Caribbean, to be honest. And
Yes.
we call it the star-shaped plaza because it shows it's like a star. And then all the structures are surrounded by smaller structures. The northernmost one is this one here, and it goes here. There's one here, another structure here, another structure, and this is the last one. No, I'm sorry, this is the one here. Yeah. So it's more like a semicircular pattern facing the river, basically. Since I was looking for the development of social stratification here, as you can see, you cannot see that besides the structures and the stones, you cannot see that much from the side, right? So I decided to start. I kind of plan at and I'm not going to get into details here. A plan where they have different steps, you know, where we start like digging small and then expanding in a way. Let me see, we were here, right?
Yeah, this is good so that we can see it actually how it looks in real life.
Okay, yes, this is actually, this is only part of it, but you can see the here's the ball court, here's the star-shaped plaza, here's the plaza, the square plaza, and then there's the other structures here that you can see.
I have a question. In the star-shaped plaza, do you think that the star was completed with the triangles to the bottom, or it was like that?
That's a good question, and yes, there's some remnants. And I don't know exactly. This was the Stevens was discovered in the 70s by a vocational group that were, you know, of archaeologists, and they're the ones that actually they went to the point that they convinced the city of Tibes, of Ponce, to buy the land and make an archaeological park. And they are the ones that they reconstructed these structures. If you look at old pictures, not all the structures show the stones like nicely placed like they're here, but they show the general shape. That's why they did. And you can see here that there's some rocks here that seems to be like some other I don't know how to call them, rays of the star-shaped plaza. So yes, I think you're right that they might have been completely circular.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, okay. I cannot explain things in 2 sentences.
Yeah, no, but it's good. It's good. As much explanation, better for us to understand. Yeah.
So I have a problem here. I need to get. It's I have things. The next, you won't understand this until. Give me one more minute, okay? Let me see.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's not letting me. If I go to PowerPoint and so can you see this?
Not now.
No, now? Okay, you cannot see it. Okay.
Yeah, because you're not sharing screen now. We are just.
Yeah, but I'm trying to expand it like a so where you don't kind of see the because there's some images. Okay, this doesn't work. Let me. You've done this before, but okay. You can see it now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's going to let me do it, I think.
Oh, that's great.
If I can find it. Home design. There it is. Okay, can you see the full screen?
It is, yeah, it says Tibes.
Yeah, but it's the full screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because, okay, I show you this, I show you this.
Yes.
It said, oh, here's some other photos of Tibes, just so, and the map. But this is what I wanted to show you.
Yes.
Okay. We did several excavations in different places. In this particular, there are 2 units here. Oh, this shifted. I'm sorry about this shift here. But I'm going to concentrate on this unit that is here. Okay.
Yes. And I want to ask you something before you continue developing the question. Were you still looking at the social stratification and the existence of a Yucayeke at that point? Were you already doing excavations in Tibes after you understood that from the Yucayeke, from the village, it became the ceremonial center?
I don't quite understand the question. Can you repeat
Yes.
it one minute? Okay.
When you were doing these excavations, were you still looking for the Yucayeque for the Taino village, or were you doing these excavations
Oh,
already
we
for?
knew that the village was there because it was excavated before. So we have information that am I
Okay.
answering your question?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So then you were doing this excavation just for the ceremonial center.
No, well, it's that they both are in the same place, but one is below the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
so it's the depth and that changes. So we were digging. We didn't know exactly, you know. We know where the ceremonial center is, but we didn't know the arrangement of the earlier the Yucayek, as you call it. You know, I didn't know the organization. You know, now we have more information, and we think that the Yucayeke had a semicircular shape, also houses, you know, houses in a semicircular facing the river in a way.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you this, and I might deny it eventually. I think that these smaller structures I mentioned, I don't think they're bateys. I don't think they're bulkwards. I think they're marking more or less the ancestral houses. Because most of the trash are don't where those markers are, the small structures. So I think what they were marking is the ancestral houses, and we'll
Okay.
talk about it later a little
I
bit more.
want, and I want to, can you please explain to the people what a trash is in archaeology?
Oh, trash archaeology. um because I was, but just to give you an example, because I was looking for houses. You cannot see the houses from oh, sorry, I never told you this. I wanted to study the household because I said, if this is a transition from egalitarian to stratified, we can look at the we can look at the history of a house and see if they became richer. And richer can be many things. Doesn't have to be monetary or physical, or more impoverished. You know, what changes happen through time in households? Because I can tell you, if some people are getting, you know, bigger houses eventually changing, or smaller houses, or what's going on. And that's what I was looking for. The trash can tell you that, okay? And that's what I was looking for. So the trash is basically, they're not all over the site, although you can find materials all over the site, but they're concentrated in different places. You know, they normally seems to have been behind the houses, that they threw the trash behind the houses. So they tend to be basically following that semicircle I've been mentioning. Did I answer your question?
Yes, they are organic materials,
Well,
the
most
trash.
of that is charcoal, because organic material tend to deteriorate in the tropics pretty good, you know. So it tends to be mostly charcoal. We found a chunk of a post that was charred outside, but it still have actually two pieces in two different places, but you could still see the wood in the middle that didn't. It seemed that heat was enough to kind of, excuse me, to destroy whatever bugs like, or bacteria. And you could still, that there was still some fresh wood there in a way, kind of thing, but it's not very common in tropics. It's really hard to
Yes.
find organic materials, unless they're like submerged in water,
Mhm.
or if they're in cold conditions, basically, or very, very dry conditions, but like in Egypt, right?
Thank you for the
So we were excavating there in this point here, and because, and I'm going to explain, we got, well, there was something here that we wanted to see, basically, and I'm not going to get in details to bore you to death, but and it turned out that there was, what we found was, if you can see the square here with the let me see, can I do this? I'm trying to go see. Okay, it's hard to see because there's so much rock, but there's a pit here. There's a pit here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. Can you see my cursor?
Yes, yes,
Okay, it goes this way and then goes here. And now I cannot see you because, oh, there, wait, there it is. Okay. So I had to collapse this. Okay, here it is. So it goes this way and go, and maybe somewhere here, and then goes underneath and then starts going this way. And here you can see the ceramics. You see ceramics here?
yes, we do.
Things like that. So that's it. And it had very little charcoal, had very little of anything. It's like, why did they dig this? You know, even under this rock, there was a little bit of pottery underneath. It's like, why did they do this? You know, this was one of the one of the youngest students said, well, maybe they wanted to bury that stone or that rock. It's like, yeah, that's true. And I think he was right, or she was right, actually. And it's funny because in other places we found another stone, big one, buried, and both of them are along the northern. We haven't excavated other areas, but they're close to the main plaza. So they might have been one or possible for one or two things or more, but the ones I'm suspect is either many rocks are sacred, you know, for many groups. You know, they in North America they call them the ancestors or the grandparents or God's grandfathers rocks. And,
Yes,
and our museum has 4 rocks around it, and they're for the 4 cardinal points, and they brought them from different parts. They were considered to be grandfather rocks, and they were brought there because of that, because they were grandfather parents.
yes,
Um,
and I want to extend on that. In the rural area of the Dominican Republic in Quisqueya, in the southwest in San Juan de la Maguana,
oh yes.
you can find places where they worship the boulders, and
Mm-hmm.
they consider them as healers, as healer spirits, and they are like they function there like public semis
Mm-hmm.
where people can go, they worship to them. Well, they actually, every morning in this place, which is El Calvario de Liborio Mateo, I have seen
I
other
see.
ones, but this one I have it documented in a short video. So in the morning, there is a ritual where the person who is in charge goes there, they serve them water in the morning, and they put some coffee to the boulder, and the last thing they do is to light a candle, and they pray to this which to this
Mm-hmm.
rock, to this boulder.
Mm-hmm.
Then the people who visit this healing center, this peregrination center, they go there because they believe that this boulder can heal them, and they sit on it and
Oh.
uh, and pray. And the person who is in charge of this peregrination center then comes, and before, what I saw was Reina Alejandro Jimenez. And she already is an ancestor, but she will do a healing for the people, usually women who had who were pregnant or who had some kidneys problems. So
Oh.
she will come and put her hand over the belly of these women, and then and also on the head, and she will do some prayers. So the it is still till today, rocks are sacred for the survival
Mm-hmm.
of the Taino people. And I have seen other. This one I couldn't document it, but there was this big boulder. This one was vertical, and it was in the backyard of this house. This was in Asua, and people did a ceremony, and they did the same offerings to the rock, and then they started dancing in a circle and praying to this rock. So what your student was believing, it is correct, because we have the rocks in the Taino culture and spirituality are very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's true. I mean, there was a in terms of my how I'm visualizing the center and Tibes and everything, it was another moment that it's like, wow, one of those aha moments.
Yes.
And it's interesting because in Caribbean archaeology, you don't hear too many archaeologists and our scholars talking about rocks or even consider them, to be, and I think it's because when we look for models of how lowland South American groups, traditions and so on, we tend to go to the Amazon area, Amazonia. There's no rocks because the river brings those rocks from the Andes, and by the time they get to the Amazon, the mouth of the river, is sand, and but if you go then to the Guyanas, then you start seeing more things about with the rocks. That's something I'm starting I don't know that much about it yet, but I talked to some colleagues and they say yes, rocks can be very important in some groups in the Guyanas.
Yeah.
So that's in the Caribbean. We don't tend to think about the rocks in their sites anyway.
Yeah,
Uh,
but now you are doing this in this.
Well, yeah, let's see. I mean, it's like, yes, I'm trying.
Yeah, yeah, you're starting to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning from you guys too, Um, here we found a couple of things that are interesting. It's like this in that same unit, and it was towards the beginning of the unit. Okay, you can see how deep it could go there, but with this was on top, and this is more like Taino, like what people call Taino, which is the last period before Europeans arrived. But it's not very common one, but it was pretty interesting. And then and here's a drawing of this one. Then we had another broken pot, and it was interesting. Never seen anything like this before. You can see the pot here. This is the profile. There's like a head here, and if you look at it from in the front, it looks a little bit messy, but there's an arm here, skeletal arm, another one here, and then there's a bat face here. It's not very clear, but there's an eye here, an eye here, the mouth is here. And I know it's a bat because I think it shows a little bit of the quote unquote hands, but it's also the bat is represented everywhere in Puerto Rico, in many places. So it's that style of carving so it's another pottery is broken. So I have some theories on why this is happening, why they're broken and things like that, but I'm not going to get into those details. But that's something that we encounter here that extended more of what we know about the indigenous people of Puerto Rico at that time.
Yeah, and that the band represents the ancestors too.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Why? Because the ancestors. This is from the Chronicles, right? For Santo Domingo. They said that, and you know this.
Yes, yeah, but we need to tell it because of for the people who are
Right,
here. Yeah.
right. Well, you want to tell it?
No,
Right.
you tell it.
Okay. According to the Chronicles, the Spanish, I think it was Las Casas, recorded that they believed that the souls of the dead will come out at night, and this is almost universal in the world. That's why ghosts, and things that people think of ghosts at nighttime, right? Always, but it's because the ancestors are in the other side, and the other side is opposite to us. So they are awake when we were sleeping, and they're sleeping when we're awake. They come at night. They come out at night. They fly and they eat fruit, guayaba especially. And so that's probably that connection with the fruit bat.
Yes, and
But also, I'm sorry.
yeah, that when you go to caves in Quisqueya, there are many guava trees outside of the caves. Usually, you can find a lot of guava. It looks, I don't know
Probably the
why, but how the ground it is it is good for the guava trees to grow, but you can find lots of guava trees just outside, just stepping out
yeah.
of the cave you can find, and it's the little guava that inside is pink.
Oh, the little one, huh?
Yes, yeah, the little one,
That's
which
the
is
one that they like.
yeah, that is yes, that is the one that is there from in the island before people starting mixing seeds and this and that. So it is like the probably endemic. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
the little one.
Actually, I bet my neck that I don't know if you thought about this already. You probably did. There's a lot of guava trees there because they poop the seeds,
Oh yes,
and they get uprooted there. That's
yes,
another thing
that
animals do that.
yes, yeah, exactly. This is
Really.
scary. Yeah,
And those seeds are really hard.
they are very hard.
Yeah, thank you
Okay.
for that. These two pieces here that are very fancy, they're unique, as I mentioned, and we don't know exactly why they're there, and they were close to the surface. Again, it's not one possibility is, and the fact that they bury the rocks is that they're closing the site. We call them closing ceremonies. That
Mm,
people, when they're abandoning a place, they will break in the Southwest, they will break the or kill the pots, as they call them,
yes,
uh, and then they bury them and things like that. Could be that this is I never seen this before, and I don't think that people can. Well, this is a ceremonial center. It's the earliest one too, so probably they will have tried to do some ceremonies to kind of closing the site. But
yeah,
this is a little bit speculative, but putting many pieces together. By the way, archaeology and most sciences cannot rely on the chain of arguments to come up with a good result. It has to be more like a cable. A cable in a chain, one bond breaks, that's it. You're done. Okay, it collapses. But with a cable, one of the wires can break, but we have a lot of other cables, other lines of evidence that is still supporting your argument. And that's what we look. We look for multiple lines of evidence always, not put all our eggs in the same basket.
yes.
Uh,
So,
yes.
okay, I have a question for you. Did what happened with your original interest of the social stratification on finding this? Did you find this, or what did you find?
Thank you for asking that because I'm going to get into it now. Yes.
Okay.
After I've been there, I've been working in Tibet for 20 something years, but I don't go every season. And for the past 4 or 5 years, I go more to study collections, not to dig. And I'm not kidding, almost for 10 years, I was telling people that I don't see the chief here. I
Yes.
don't see a chief, and I don't see it. And actually, it hit me one time when I always asked to ask a critique type of article for Caribbean archaeology. It's like, this is embarrassing. I haven't found it. It's like, wait a minute. Nobody has found evidence, direct evidence, either the burial, the house, or some sign that there's a chief anywhere. And I'm going to call it chief, okay? No, I'm going to call him cacique.
Mhm.
uh and that's something that had me for 10 years. I was saying, okay, there's no chief, so but what is Tibet? Why did they build it? And it happened when I it kind of get together all the data when we start excavating this unit. This is the initial unit, okay? Because we found, I don't know if you back down here, you can see that there's a trash maiden, and it's mostly food. But this is like a flat area that they probably where they were working or doing something. I don't know. But then when you excavate, you start finding stains showing like they're like shallow pits that archaeologists tend to call trash pits. But this is inside a structure because there's postmarks here. You see those round ones? Those are posts.
Yes.
So I said, so it might be, again, people having offerings or something, in some societies, when you cut your hair, you have to bury it or sing. I'm not saying this is what happened. Okay. I'm saying that there might be many reasons for burying things inside the house. But as a good archaeologist, when you finish digging the cultural level where the indigenous people live and their trash is there or evidence, you go down and you might not find you're not supposed to find anything, but you keep digging because there might be another layer of cultural material down there you'll be doing. So digging there, we found first these rocks. This is deep. This is a lot deeper, okay? And when you go there, you see them sitting on their edge. You can throw that rock like 100 times or more, and I'm going to bet my neck that all of them are going to fall flat, so what are they doing standing? And we thought, well, it seems you can see the soil in the background. It looks like alluvial soils. We thought that there was a flood in the site because it's next to a river, right? So rocks are trying to come out, that the water is transporting, and this is almost like throwing a water in the water, for when you're in a fountain, throw them, and it goes flat, but immediately starts kind of shaking and then going on the edge, right? So this is what's happening here. And I was thought, wow, this is cool. There was a flood here. That's interesting, But then we excavated more here, and this below, we found evidence of human remains. Let me assure you that there's no connection. This is probably like 1 foot, or more, between the cultural level and down there where we found this. We found some human remains. There's no connection, cultural connection with anything above. Everything else is natural, but we have things that are human and also artifacts here. There's I think I have it. Let me see. Okay, here it is. We found pieces of ceramics, nice pieces of ceramics. There's a leg here. Can you see the fibula and the tibia? And here's the femur. I don't know if you can see it here. We found a teeth, adult teeth, but we also found in tibias the burials don't preserve very well. We found like 70-80% of an infant in good state, and so we thought at first, wow, these people died in the flood, but no, it doesn't seem the case. It seems that the flood might have actually washed a relatively fresh burial, and then it brought it to this area here, and it ended, it landed down there because the flood brought it in. So this is a big flood, and then eventually, with more evidence, we found out that this can be a category 4 or 5 flood. Hurricane. And we can talk, if you want, later on more about why we know, or we will suspect that. But then we're talking category 4 or 5. We're not talking here. This is supposedly at least in 5 and maybe 4. You cannot breathe out there. There's no caves. There's no the structures were bohíos, right? They probably there's a lot of people that die, and actually we find archaeologically that the population drops at that time. And the ceramic changes, and a lot of changes happens that and in that period, more or less. We can never say the exact date because it's almost impossible. But in more or less in that area, the ceramic change, a lot of things change at the same time. It's like these people kind of whoever was alive still, it's like they eventually start changing their beliefs or the cultural traditions, because at that point. There are very few of them, and they imagine if most of the Beikes, for example, passed away, then they are the ones that hold most of the knowledge of the supernatural and other things, so that can be kind of brutal for a community, or in this case, at least half of Puerto Rico, because you see the pottery changing on the eastern side and Puerto Rico mostly.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so I wanted to ask you, what is your take of what was the Tibet Ceremonial Center and how it ended?
Exactly. So it was like 10 years not knowing what was happening until we found this, and then and it was one of my students that, well, we knew it was a big flood, and I published something about it. It's probably a big flood, but she started putting all these things together, and it's like, wait a minute, it's a big flood. These people, probably people died, and I think is that Tibet, at least initially, I don't know by the time it was abandoned, but initially I think it was it became a ceremonial center for the ancestors.
Yes.
It probably started with people putting offerings. This happens. This is very common, even in Mesoamerica, other places. People go to the ancient sites and put some offerings. Some indigenous people, they still do ceremonies there at a personal level, and we're not talking about that like a whole community coming. They might do that too, but many times it's a personal gift that they're doing or something like that. And maybe started like that, but then it grew into becoming a ceremonial center. Population was small, was pretty low at that point, so it's not like they needed more space.
Yes.
And there's a lot of things have changed at this time, tons of things, critical. But I think that's how it started. I don't know if at the end of Tibet that it became more political, for example, like we all, politics is everywhere. So, or it might have been different groups are coming with different perspectives too, or there was a change in religion too, things like that. And that's where we have to start looking. It's not that much finding more archaeological stuff, but it's look for the people and see, look about, then that's why the anthropological perspective I had that from my bachelor and my bachelor, it's like, okay, where's the people, and this hit me in the head because when you're digging, you get excited, it's like you might find something new or something good, but then we have to detach from that, look at everything, and then go and find the people, how people were living, what happened to them, what is their story. And
Yes. So we have to dig into the humanity of the place. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So then, then this brings us in a question to the following question. After, does the Tibet Ceremonial Center involve the descendants of the Taino people in their archaeological work after acknowledging their survival?
What was that again? I'm sorry.
Is that after the survival of the Taino people is a fact, is the ceremonial center involving the descendants of the Taino people in the findings in the ceremonial center?
Yes, there's a history, and this is more from the center, and I haven't been involved that much in the organization of things, but oops, sorry. Yeah, I don't know if many of you are Puerto Rican, and we were Puerto Rico when Mazola had a special that was on Mazola, the oil, the cooking oil. They had they had a special where they have they had that lasted for weeks. Think they were talking about the Tainos, the different aspects of the Tainos, and at that point they and this is years ago, they involved some people that had they claim that they were descendants, and they have a group and they do dances and things like that. And throughout the history of the site, more actually I see it more now with the administration is here that they get involved some involve Taino descendants. Some of them is because they're trying to start bringing artisans to sell things there in the park, like it's go from the not just dealing with the dead, but these living people are still here, and so some they promote people from the community to come and sell their crafts. But one special thing that happened one point, the original excavators, let me see, they excavated Tibet between 78 and and 1980 or something like that. At that time, archaeology in Puerto Rico was very crude. You know, they didn't use the right materials for storing the artifacts, and the artifacts, the bags were kind of breaking apart, and they were mixing and other things, which is a nightmare for an archaeologist. And they asked me if I could bag many of these, or rehouse, as we say, most of these bags and everything. And they excavated. If I excavated so little compared to them. They were there for 3 years digging. You know, I go for 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, and not always, every day. So they had a lot of material. Many of them hasn't been processed. So, but interesting enough, not interesting enough is, fortunately, the director of the park actually knew some of the Tainos in the area, and she asked him if they could help with us, if they could help us. It's theirs, no, it's not. So
Yeah.
it was a very, very enriching experience for me individually, and it was humbling in a way. In a couple of cases, we found bones, and we call him right immediately to make sure to know that how they want us to deal with them. But one of them turned out to be a cow, and the other one was another animal. They weren't humans, at that point, but we didn't know, because we started opening, we see the bones, like, okay,
Yeah.
call them first, and let's consult first. And it was very, very good. And I mean, we have worked with the park before, rebagging objects, but this is the first time that they were involved. And actually, the interesting thing is, like, they were asking questions, because
Yes.
everything's like, wait, what is this for? Or what is this? And then,
Yes. Yes.
and that was great, that it was like it was going both ways, and they taught us so much, and we were teaching them too, and
That is, well, as I call it, a revolutionary archaeology for us in the Caribbean,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you
But,
for doing that. And
as I told you, I have to thank Jorge Esteves for that, for educating me. Okay,
yes, yeah,
and
thank you. Yeah,
yeah,
shout out to Jorge.
boy, he hit me hard in the head, but
Yes,
yeah,
for
no,
yeah, for us, yes, because the Taino survival movement is already like out there, and will be is becoming mainstream. And I
yeah.
am very happy that you as an archaeologist are also part of this acknowledgement.
Mm.
And the last question that is also tied to this, to wrap up our beautiful interview, is what future do you want to see in archaeology regarding the integration of indigenous people into archaeological work?
Well, there's several things that we can do, and you know that I've been in communicating with the city of Ponce, who's the one that administers this side, but through the director of the park, and we already started talking about. It's going to take a long time, because we have to figure out a lot of things, but it's to rebury the burials that have been excavated, and that's one of the important things. And I was surprised how quickly they said. I mentioned it before, to be honest, and but then when the Park Service came, because of the hurricanes, they also and the director is very open to these things. So all these things, came together, and it was great working with my colleagues now. That relationship, we have to get it out there, and get indigenous people involved. And I don't know how many Tainos are interested in becoming archaeologists too. I don't know that too, which would be also,
Yes.
but they can make it theirs, more than us digging it for them, right?
Exactly. I know a trend in South America of
Mhm.
every day more and more indigenous people, they are becoming anthropologists and archaeologists, and they are the one taking care of their own history. Yes.
Right. And I've been in this way. Wow, this is like more than 20 years ago, in some discussions that were happening in a university where I taught. They had this event where get together and talk about this. and the native people, were criticizing archaeologists and everything, but there was other young indigenous people say, we understand what you're saying, but I want to know my history.
Yes.
So it's not homogeneous, different for different reasons. Different communities might deal with things different, and that we have to respect that. But it was interesting that some people wanted to get to archaeology to get to know more, because even with the Spanish Chronicles, we miss a lot,
Yes. 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 We missed.
So it was very interesting. It's very enriching, actually, in general. But
So, Antonio, thank you very much for this exceptional interview. Thank you.
thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, for your participation. So then now we are going to move to some Q&A. We're going to take 5 minutes to see what people want to ask in
Did I
the.
talk too much?
No, you talk what we needed to know. Thank you, because this shed a lot of light into Tibet and what we know, who are not involved in the work. Let me see the chat. So Priscilla says, the more we share academia and indigenous people, the wiser we all become. Thank you for these great collaborations. So Alexis Rivera says, yo estudié geología, I studied geology, and rocks and boulders are very important to know about our history.
Mm.
And Jules Negron says, are there any books, website sources you would recommend for people who have Taino ancestors and want to learn more and reconnect with Taino traditions?
That's a hard one, because there's a lot of archaeology being done in Puerto Rico, for example, but a lot of it is contract archaeology, where we that when they're going to build something, archaeologists and there's a site, the archaeologists have to dig it, but they end up in the you can have access to the reports, you can have access, but one, there's a lot of technological stuff there sometimes. I cannot think of a book that can talk too much about that is not very technical. I have a volume about this, like more than 15-20 years, about the initial excavations in Tibet.
Yes.
And there's one chapter on shells, or a chapter in animal bones and things like that. We're publishing one now that should be out in the next year or so, with another sets of different sets of analysis that has been done, because people are not publishing data either. That's why I do this. But also the introduction and the conclusion talk about my view of Tibet as it is now.
Thank you. So
there might be other publications out there, but I don't know them. But
okay, yeah, thank you. So we will have to be watching when this book comes. So we have Ricardo Vargas, who wants to ask a question. Yes, go ahead, Ricardo, please.
Well, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
yes.
Yeah. So there are pictographs. I have pictures of a body wrapped in a bundle, and I guess they would call them guaili children.
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know the indigenous name.
Well, someone said that, and I'm just wondering if you've heard this, that they're actually people who died and passed away into the afterlife, right? But they were wrapped up in a web. They kind of said web, but it was their hammocks. So
that's all we suspect. Yes.
did you hear this before?
Well, the tradition of putting people in bundles. Yes, I mean, there's in different parts of the world, but this one, because it has the cross-hatching kind of cross pattern at the body, you can see the face. Sometimes they look like animals, a bit like they have some ears too, right?
They have like supposedly they're spirit guides or they're power animals of them. That's
Yeah,
what
to be honest, that the Spanish chronicles, they didn't mention this at all. So I don't remember if they mentioned that sometimes they wrap them under. I don't think they gave those details either. But it is common in many South American communities and so on. So could be the meaning is a little bit hard, and maybe some people in the community might know more about this than me, but they have read more about this. But I've never seen there might be some traditions in some families that might speak about the way that they buried their ancestors before, but there's not that much that in the chronicles. Archaeologically, we don't find the hammocks because they're gone, but they tend to be almost 99.9% of the burials. They're wrapped. They are in fetal position. In other words, like the knees were close to the chest, so that it seems that they actually wrap them. That's a position that they will do with the person that is passed away. To put them in a bundle, they have to kind of put in a fetal position.
it's possible.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Ricardo, for your participation.
Thank you very much.
Yes, to wrap up the questions, I have a shout out here from Priscilla Colon, reminding us that we also have the Reencuentro Taino conference presentations that are coming up online, where many archaeologists presented, including Antonio Curet. So follow them on Instagram so that you can see, and in Facebook, that you can see all these amazing interviews and conference, the conference that took place this summer.
That was a great event. Yeah.
In Puerto Rico. Oh, okay. So Priscilla just put the YouTube link there. And yes. So that's it. You can go to that YouTube there. The Taino conference will be uploading all these conferences. Okay, so Antonio, now we want to invite you to stay here if you want. We are going to present the film one more time.
Oh, good.
Before that we put it online. We're going to upload it online, and everybody who is here will be notified via email, okay? So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how this short movie came to be. So El Museo del Barrio and I collaborated to create the educational video art piece sponsored by Bloomberg Connect. They have this new app where you can visit museums around the world. And the intention was highlighting Yucahu, which is the supreme entity of the Taino spirituality, and how we ritualize our connection and understanding of this semi. The Museum Archaeological Taino collection features a ceremonial three-pointed semi carved in stone that was the inspiration behind this collaboration. And the short film was also created to better understand and also integrate our indigenous and ancestral traditions into our identity and daily lives. And I want you to know that this short film is really based on the teachings that I received from the bearers of Taino spirituality that have been passed down generation to generation in the rural areas of Asua and San Juan de la Maguana in Quisqueya. Every ritual that you see, it is something that is still practiced in Quisqueya and that is believed in Quisqueya. So these teachers and mentors that I had was the late León Rodríguez, El Mellizo de Palmasola, an historical figure. The late Reina Alejandro Jimenez, who is the keeper of the Liborio Calvary, the one that I was telling you about the boulder, and who was a healer. And Doña Colasa Beltré, which is in Asua, and her family keep the tradition of burying Yucahu in the conucos, in the farms, right? The three of them, they were my primary sources of knowledge. So we hope that you enjoy this short film and take the time to appreciate the rich culture and tradition that it explores.